Hello, and welcome again to another Tuesday night Sound Goblin stream. Tonight, as you may have picked up there, I'm going to be doing Final Fantasy V. It's January 1st, which means only about 6.5 months till Fiesta season begins. And that being said, I'm going to be getting in some practice runs, get stuff going. So, I am, as always, Bograt, or Josh.
I am the Krampus.
I am Vincent.
I'm Lord Shiver Mackie.
So to clarify, I didn't really have a Twitter account until like a year, maybe a year and a half ago. And in order to actually do an actual 4-job Fiesta run, you have to have Twitter so that the Gilgabot can communicate with you. So instead, I actually built a system setup I could do to actually just generate Fiesta pools in order to do practice stuff. Hi, Veste. So 4-job Fiesta is a special sort of challenge run of Final Fantasy V. Essentially, how it works is this game has a job system wherein normally your characters can sort of switch between a whole bunch of different jobs. And all the different jobs have different abilities, and they're all the kind of normal classes you see in most typical Final Fantasy games. You've got knights, you've got monks, you've got black mages, white mages, so on and so forth.
Dragons, mimics.
Yeah, so the 4-job Fiesta itself is a challenge run setup wherein at each of the 4 crystals you encounter in the first world, which are how you get your jobs, you only get a single job. And once you have that job, you have to have at least one character in each of the jobs you're given, and as soon as you have any job, you have to have all characters in that job. There's a whole bunch of different variations and types of Fiesta run you can do. The very bog standard one is you get one job from the first crystal, one job from the second crystal, one job from the third crystal, one job from the fourth crystal, and it's pretty straightforward. The particular type of run I like to do are called Pure Chaos, which is you can only ever get one copy of a given job, but any crystal can give you a job from any crystal. So when the first crystal breaks, you can end up with a job from the fourth crystal, and you have to keep going as a freelancer until you actually hit a crystal where you get a job. So that's why this particular one, I actually ended up on this poll getting 2 jobs from the first crystal, but the second one doesn't actually come until after we break the third crystal. So my first job is Knight, then Summoner, then Thief, then Bard. It's an interesting party composition that I'm going to be trying out. The reason I do these practice runs is to kind of figure out intricacies and interactions I may not otherwise have thought of while not having been fully devoted to an actual Fiesta run on them, because you never know what you're going to get in a Fiesta run. The big exception is there's a thing called Berserker Risk in Fiesta. Berserker is a class that you can't control what the Berserker does. They just attack, and they attack a random enemy target. This can cause a lot of problems when you're very limited in what tools you have available, so normally in a Fiesta poll, you don't have a chance to have a Berserker. Unless you specifically sign up before the event actually starts for Berserker Risk. The event starts usually around mid-June, and it's technically a charity event. People fundraise using Fiesta as a sort of a goal kind of thing, kind of like a like a fundraiser marathon kind of thing. People pledge, oh, I'll give you $1 for getting this far, or kind of stuff. So the event usually starts about mid-June, and if you sign up during the pre-registration period, you can sign up for Berserker Risk, which is based on a certain amount of money. A pool of assignable Berserker jobs becomes available. And if you signed up for Berserker Risk, there's a chance you end up getting assigned Berserker as one of your jobs. The past few years, they have actually gotten so far above the limit for Berserker Risk, like in terms of the number of people signed up to actually play Fiesta versus the number of Berserkers available in the pool, that everybody who signed up for Berserker Risk was basically guaranteed 1 Berserker, and some people could get 2, and I think one person even ended up with 3 Berserkers on their team. It is technically possible to beat this game with a team consisting of 4 Berserkers. More than about 1 makes things really difficult and honestly kind of unfun. So I don't actually do Berserker Risk anymore, just because at this point you're basically guaranteed 1 Berserker, and there's a decent chance you're going to end up with 2. And honestly, that's just not really a fun way to play this game. But yeah, so this team, Knight, Summoner, Thief, Bard, has some really interesting interactions going on with it. I'm also playing on the GBA version. You can do a Fiesta run with either the Super Nintendo or the GBA version. As of this past year, they finally added a mode that actually potentially can give the GBA-only classes as a potential for... I'm just doing some settings here real quick. That give the GBA exclusive classes as possible classes for the Fiesta run. It wasn't really a good setup, though. There's some issues with that particular one. And also, one of the big problems with getting the GBA-only classes is they're all technically post-game classes. Strats. Yeah, no worries. So strats vary greatly dependent upon sort of what classes you end up with. One thing you can do, there are a lot of guides out there specifically for Fiesta to kind of give you ideas of things to do and what you do and don't need to do. One I particularly used a lot of times in my early practices until I started actually kind of learning the systems and kind of being able to know them offhand, is called Enkybot. That's, here, I'll actually just put the link in chat here. So that's Enkybot, and what Enkybot does is you literally can put in what classes you have unlocked, and it'll give you, not like a walkthrough, but just kind of a general, like, hey, you're in this section. Oh, you have this character class. Kind of keep an eye out for this thing, or, you want to make sure to get this thing. Or, oh, you're in this section, but you don't have this character. You don't need to worry about this thing. There's a lot of other options like it out there. I particularly use Enkybot, but there's a bunch of other ones. There's actually a whole Reddit, subreddit for Job Fiesta, and everyone kind of has their favorite guides and strats. I'll be talking a bit about some of the strats I do use, but first things first. Yeah, there's an old man passed out over there. He can wait. There's a Phoenix down.
Good, we'll need that for the old man.
He's dead.
No, he's just unconscious, not dead.
I think Down can only revive from KO.
They actually addressed that in this game.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
What, the things down can only revive from KO?
So, there's that whole thing, especially in regards to, like, Final Fantasy VII, where they're like, well, why don't they just use a Phoenix down on Eris, blah, blah, blah. Not to spoil too much, but this is a 4-Job Fiesta challenge run. Like, you need to have played the game and kind of know the game in order to really do this at all. So Galef dies about halfway through the game, and just, like, outright dies. And when he's lying there dead on the ground, one of the other characters runs up and starts going, Phoenix down, life 2. Like, actually trying to cast the life spells on him, and it just doesn't work because he's dead. So it does actually address that later on.
You can kill someone
like,
so
directly.
Dead. It's like, no, son.
But yeah, anyways, back to what I was talking about as far as the sort of strategies and stuff like that. Everyone also kind of has their own peculiarities. I do some early game grinding that a lot of people don't do. Not like a ton, not like an excessive amount, but I get a few levels just in advance. And again, it's very much dependent upon your team composition as to what strategies you follow. But one of the reasons I do it is because there are some pulls you can get for your first job that are really bad, and having a couple extra levels early on can make the difference between an absolute slog through certain parts of the game, and just being able to be more difficult but deal with them. For instance, if you get Thief as your first job pull off the first crystal, the early game is kind of brutal. Mm-hmm. You do end up with access to a lot more items because you have Steel early on, but Thief is not actually a terribly great class to have to solo things with. Especially some of the early game bosses can be just obnoxious to try and do solo with nothing but thieves. To the point where, like, no joke, one of the guides I check regularly has a suggestion for one of the early game bosses where they're like, yeah, if you're soloing as Thief and if your first job is Thief and you're having trouble with this, I hate to tell you, but the best option is just to grind to level 16. For reference, this is an area of a game where you should be about level 8, maybe 9.
Yeah.
Prepare to grind a lot.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because technically speaking, a lot of the best early game equipment you get available or can have access to is stuff for thieves, because you can steal like mithril daggers pretty early on, which is a pretty decent equipment level for the game. But thieves again kind of suffer a lot.
Yeah, that's a good weapon, but you can't carry the party.
Yeah.
You're fast, but that's about it.
Having a thief on your team in general, though, even though it makes early game kind of difficult, is actually really useful for a lot of things, just because Thief does grant the ability to just auto-escape from any escapable battle in the game.
And they go first in combat.
Not always. They have really high agility, so they usually go first in combat. The only thing in the entire game that actually guarantees you going first in combat is the Ashura Katana.
Mm. So you have a thief that can equip a katana.
Yes. But, I mean, strictly speaking, if you put equip katana on any class, it will go first as long as you have the Ashura Katana equipped.
Mm-hmm. It assures you go first.
Thief is honestly kind of a waste to do that with, because thieves usually go big. The inherent abilities of Thief are... The inherent abilities of the Thief class are the ability to dash, and you are immune to back attacks.
That's right, you get to run on the map.
Yes.
They're exceedingly useful for that alone.
GBA, one of the reasons I play the GBA version generally is because it has a lot of quality of life improvements, including an auto dash, which is not dependent upon having a thief in your party.
Oh, thank Christ.
It just increases the general movement speed. That was one of those things I set up when I was in that little hollow there. This stacks with the thief's dash, actually. So if you have a thief in your party and have the auto dash on and hold down B, you go actually almost uncontrollably fast.
Wham, wall, wham, wall, wham, wall.
So the first point where I do some grinding that's not necessarily typical for the game is actually right here. Because there's a replenishment spring right here, which will restore your HP and MP and cure statuses and stuff. And so I usually try and grind here until everybody's about level 5. As you can see right now, Bart's is level 2, everyone else is level 1. Bart's generally gets an extra level on the other party members just because he has those 2 fights that are solo to him that are unskippable.
Does the fourth party member come with whatever level the party is, or...?
No. So the fourth party member does join at a specific level, but is usually only 1 level behind Lena and Galef, the way that I play. Just because part of the thing... Oh, and in case you didn't pick up on that, by the way, I have Turbo set up on this emulator just to make it not unbearable to do this early game grinding. But yeah, with the way that I play, generally when the fourth party member actually joins, which is honestly pretty soon after this point anyways, she's usually just like 1 level behind. Not even really one level, like half a level behind Lena and Galef, generally. I think realistically what it may actually...
It's the natural speed of JRPGs.
Yep.
What it may actually be is she may actually join at the level they are, but starts at the base of that level, as in like having earned 0 experience at that level. I've never really thought to check. Yeah, so with Turbo, this doesn't actually take all that long. Technically speaking, by the rules of Fiesta, I'm not sure if Turbo is actually allowed or not. I don't care. First of all, this isn't an official run, and second of all, fuck it. I think they don't care that much.
Yeah, we're not trying to post an official time or anything, so...
Even then, they don't. It's not a time thing. It's not like a speed run record kind of thing. It's
a charity event.
Yeah. Generally, the big things they care about is you do have to send them a screenshot or evidence of some sort of the final boss being defeated, and if you go for the optional bosses, those boss defeats as well. Yeah, one of the other things that suffers a little bit early game is honestly just you don't have equipment. Like, for a little while here, Galef will actually just be empty-handed, because we just don't have a weapon to give him.
And thus he is dual-wielding Fist.
Yeah, so that is one thing about this game. If you are bare-handed, you do actually double attack. It is something that actually makes Monk not a terrible first crystal job, if you get stuck with that. Unfortunately, Monk suffers real bad once you get into like late mid-game into end-game. Monk is effectively useless the last third of the game.
Which makes it a good job if you're playing this game normally, but unfortunately that...
Yeah, for Fiesta, it will make your early game as easy as it could possibly be, honestly. But
3 people in the end game.
Yeah, in the end game, he basically kind of, like, your Monk essentially becomes almost a dedicated, like, items character, because they're not doing any worthwhile damage to anybody. So one other reason I played the GBA game as well is because there were a few bugs in the Super Nintendo version that the GBA game does actually fix. Most notably a bug among them, daggers in the Super Nintendo version don't actually use stat calculations properly. Daggers are supposed to have their damage based off of not only your strength, but also your agility. And the formula in the Super Nintendo version was bugged, so it doesn't do that calculation properly, which is another thing that makes Thieves really bad in the Super Nintendo version. In the GBA version, at least, it does actually properly calculate the... Not Galef, I don't care about Galef. There we go. Sorry, controller response was being a bit of a butt there. But yeah, so in the GBA version, it does actually properly calculate the agility bonuses to daggers, and so daggers are actually a pretty viable weapon, making Thieves actually decent. Again, early game, they're kind of rough, but once you get past that point, it's fine. It also actually makes a section a little bit later kind of funny. I'll talk about that when we get there, but... Our first job being Knight, honestly, kind of makes this game free. So to talk about the group build that I've ended up kind of pulling here, so Knight has a lot of really solid early game advantages in that Knight very early on gets an ability that basically just makes them immune to physical attacks. Like any purely physical attack will just do outright 0 damage to them. It is their action to do that, so they can't just attack while doing it. It is an active ability. However, one of their passive abilities is called Cover, which is a knight will dive in the way of any attack aimed at a character that's at critical HP. The combination of using Guard, which is the ability that keeps them from taking any physical damage, and Cover means that a few early game bosses are literally incapable of doing anything to you as long as you have a knight and 3 critical HP characters.
Because he jumps in the way of everything.
Yeah, he jumps in the way of every attack, and like a lot of the bosses early game are purely physical attackers, so they take no damage and block everything, and you just have 3 characters who get to like freely wail on the boss. Also, a lot of early game armor is usable by knights, which means your defense is higher in general, so even when you're not doing stuff like that, you get the bonus stuff. 2 of the 4 classes in my team for this run are some of the most powerful classes in the game. Summoner and Bard are both really powerful. Bard, you kind of have to know what you're doing to make them powerful, but can be the most broken, second most broken thing in the game. They're not a chemist. Chemists are ridiculous, but Bard can get pretty close to chemist levels. It just takes a little bit more kind of knowledge of how to do it. So with the songs set up correctly on Bard, you can basically effectively end up with your entire party having effectively level 255 with 99s in all stats during combat. Which pretty much chumps every fight in the game, including the final boss.
Oh, that final boss, Neo X Cactuar.
Yep. I do not have the ROM hacked version of this, so not that we will get there
We'll get there at this point.
in the like 2.5 hours we normally stream, anyways. But Neo X Death in this will not, in fact, be a giant Cactuar.
This old Kentucky Cactuar, he's been there.
It also improves the plot of the game.
Also, an incredibly minor feature that the GBA version has that I do like is with the dialogue boxes down there, we do actually get the Yoshitake Amano portraits of the characters.
Yep.
That is neat.
So you can see it there, like that's the Yoshitake Amano art for Ferris.
That hair's not pink.
It's just a nice touch. The Yoshitake Amano art is actually awesome. If you look over at the right-hand side of your screen, you'll actually see the Amano artwork for Gilgamesh and X-Death over there.
The battle tree.
Just... I mean, it's his normal armored form, so he doesn't look like a tree. But, no, Yoshitake Amano is just an absolute madman of a character designer. I honestly think he is incapable of stopping designing the characters. Like, they actually released an art book pretty recently of, like, Yoshitake Amano designs for all the Final Fantasy games. And, like, it shows, like, the comparisons of, like, here's the Amano art, and, like, here's, like, the like digital render of the character from like if they're a character that was in like Dissidia, for instance, here's the like Dissidia version, and like here's the sprite that ended up being based on this thing. And it's just this like ridiculous thing when you realize like Yoshitake Amano, like again, if you look at the right hand side of the screen, you look at Gilgamesh, you look at X-Death, he knew he was designing these characters to be put into a 16-bit game. And yet he still did this.
Art will not be stifled.
In the case of Gilgamesh and X-Death, at least they do get a
Like,
little bit...
for reference.
They do get a little bit more detail being bosses, but still, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's that one. Give me just a second. I'm showing the guys here the pictures.
As strictly speaking, we have the game up, but not actually the stream.
Yeah, I'm monitoring the stream over on my... Like, he designed that.
It's in his pajamas. The man just woke up.
Okay, so, first strategy point. Shall I sail her to the Wind Shrine for you? No. Fuck right off. We're not going there yet. It's very important to actually go this way, which is the opposite direction of the Wind Shrine. In order to come to Tool.
So the pirates can yell for grog, because these...
Stereotypical pirates.
Yeah.
Except they probably won't rum and not grog. Fuck it.
Also, as I recall, wasn't the translation shored up a little and...
The GBA version...
From the GBA?
The GBA version
Well,
does have a different translation.
Yeah.
Considering the...
The Super Nintendo version never actually got an official translation.
Yeah,
It was only a fan translation?
Yes.
Oh, I'm referring to the PS1.
Hence why the main character was named Butts.
Yep. So the reason you want to come here is literally for this.
Oh, so you can have actual weapons for your party.
We've
Yes.
all got swords!
And the other benefit of doing that grinding to level 5 is you actually have a decent amount of money at this point. Like, I have over 1,000 gold. And yes, so we can have swords in order to get us through the Wind Shrine and the Wind Shrine specifically. Because pretty much very shortly after the Wind Shrine, we will be ditching these broadswords in favor of a knife.
Ferris keeps running in. Don't forget about me! Not a party member yet.
So yes, the other benefit of doing that full grind to level 5 is you can actually essentially get a full set of equipment for all 4 of your characters. Some of this stuff is stuff you'll pick up in the Wind Shrine, like there's I think there's a broadsword and a leather shield in the Wind Shrine if I recall correctly. But in the long run, it just makes it a little bit easier. And the other thing that you do, because you're now here in Tool before going to the Wind Shrine, is you come to the Beginner's Building. I think we call it the Greenhorns Club in this. Just to get some free shit. Secret passage over here leads around the back to that chest. That chest has an extra 100 gil, which doesn't really matter to us all that much. And then we come up here and do this fight, which is against a monster in a box. But it's just a goblin, so we don't care.
Not a monster, that's just a goblin, and you didn't give him clothes.
Guys,
And that gets us a pair of leather shoes, which is our first accessory, which we're going to put onto Lena, because Lena just has terrible defense. So all 4 characters in this game technically have slightly different stat growth. A lot of stat growth is actually based on what job you have them in. Although literally when you change jobs, your stats will adjust to what you should have from the job you are now in. So it's not a super big deal.
It mostly matters if you're using Freelancer, which you're not in a 4-job Fiesta run.
If you're doing pure chaos, you very well might.
Okay.
Freelancer is absolutely an option on the list for 4-job Fiesta. So this is the magic shop. For my run, I don't need anything from here. If you're doing a typical Fiesta run where you don't know all 4 of your classes in advance, you do generally want to pick those up, just so you make sure you have them.
I miss the old Final Fantasy days when towns were just chock full of secret stuff.
Yep. And then over here, you want to make sure you do this.
This is very important.
It is, actually.
Yes, I know the real reason why we're doing this, but that doesn't...
So quite literally, we're doing this for the sole purpose of getting those dancers out of the way so I can get to that piano.
Yep.
Because again, for my run in particular, this is important. And if you're doing a regular Fiesta run where you don't know your jobs in advance, this is important because bards unlock songs by playing all the pianos in the world.
Do 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 do.
Piano skill level up.
Yep.
Even though that's an organ.
It's a piano.
That's true.
There are keys.
Okay. So that's all we need to do for now in Tool. I mean, we could totally come back here after the Wind Shrine, too, so it's not super important to do, like, the piano and stuff like that right now.
Yeah.
But all the other stuff we did, the equipment and getting the items, does make doing the Wind Shrine a lot easier.
Especially if you remember to equip Ferris with the gear you bought her.
Yep. Don't need to do that at specifically this second, because unlike some other games in the Final Fantasy series, which are a giant pile of ass, you don't get attacked while at sea in this game.
Arr.
Shut up.
It's a love soundtrack going way off the rails.
So this pot, very important.
Restoration.
Yep, that is a restoration pot. If you're doing a normal run and don't pre-grind like I do up to level 5, that can be pretty useful just because you might have to make some runs back there because some of the fights in here can be pretty brutal.
I mean, not this one, but...
No. If you happen to know somehow, because strictly speaking... Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct there, Hunter Green. Story is not important in the Fiesta run. The story of FF5 is actually pretty good. I do like the story of FF5. It's good enough that it was one of the first anime adaptations of a Final Fantasy.
Mm-hmm. Even if that was weird.
It was a really bad anime adaptation.
Yeah,
it was an OVA that was terrible. But it was the first anime adaptation of a Final Fantasy.
You killed my brother!
But yeah, if you're in here, if you happen to know, because strictly speaking, it's not necessarily forbidden to actually just do all your job pulls before you do the run. It's not, strictly speaking, how a Fiesta technically works, but they outright say, even on the rules page, like, if you want to, you can just, ping Gilgabot in advance and get your whole thing. If you know that you're getting a blue mage, those goblins are a good early game place to get Goblin Punch, which is one of the most important blue mage spells.
So what does Goblin Punch do in this one?
Goblin Punch does a small amount of damage. Unless you happen to be the same level as the thing you're using it against, in which case it pretty much one-hit kills most things in the game.
Mm.
It does, I think something like 8 or 16x damage if you are the same level as the thing you are hitting with it.
Ah.
So, a pretty big strategy for Blue Mage runs in this is pull up a bestiary so you know what level everything in the game is, and just make sure to always jigger it so your Blue Mage matches levels to whatever the most significant threat you're about to face is. Generally the boss.
Aren't raptors generally winged?
You could have dinosaurs.
Mm.
The Final Fantasy series is no stranger to dinosaurs.
Granted.
But yeah, you will... So the big thing is that Blue Mage is a job you do get off of this first crystal. So if you happen to get that as your first crystal job, you can immediately kind of pop back in and go farm a black goblin until it goblin punches you, and have a very early game, pretty solid attack spell for your Blue Mage.
Whoop.
Blue Mage is another actually very powerful class to pull in a Fiesta run. Again, it's another one, though, where you have to really know what monsters you get blue magic off of, and kind of where to do it. There's a lot of really stupid tricks for Blue Mage, like certain monsters that have a spell but don't actually have MP, so you have to use an ether on them in order to get them to cast the spell on you. There's a couple instances of those. There's a couple monsters that will quite literally only use an ability if you take control of them with a Beastmaster and then specifically prompt them to use that ability, which is kind of a pain in the ass. Yeah. Crystal's breaking, this bad, world in danger, go fix.
Blah, blah.
Father, how do you see through that helmet? It's solid. Father, I have questions.
Okay. So,
One-sided metal.
Fiesta states that as soon as you have access to your first job, you have to put it on. So everybody now has to be knights, because that's the first job we ended up with. If you're doing a chaos or pure chaos run of this, and the first job you pull is not one that's available off the first crystal, you get to keep being freelancers. This is both good and bad. Freelancer is actually an incredibly versatile class, in that they can literally equip every piece of equipment in the game with a few rare exceptions.
And this game is actually very nice about having items that have a bunch of weird and unique abilities that can, at times, make up like the bulk of an entire class on its own.
Pretty much.
At least for the time period you find it in. That heal rod is worth its weight in diamonds.
Thank you. Yes, the title for the stream took me a couple minutes to come up with, but our title is "Four Foolish Figures Fight with Finite Function." Final Fantasy V 4-job Fiesta practice. Boko, piss off. I know how the job system works.
Poco, you can talk? I've been hiding it this whole time. You're not interesting to talk to.
So for reference, this originally was not actually going to be a Fiesta practice stream. Originally I was going to be playing a Final Fantasy V randomizer called Grand Cross. But if I'm being real, it's fun to play. I didn't feel like it would stream well. Yeah, yes, fourth job Fiesta.
What's your favorite thing, starting with F?
Steak! Yeah, so once we're done with the wind shrine, we do have to come back here. Technically, you don't know that you have to come back here. You're supposed to go check the water gate, and then it goes like, oh, it's locked. We can't get through there. Well, I guess we should head to Tool. But you can skip that and just come here.
I'll show you Tool. They're a great band.
But yeah, anyways, so like Freelancer is actually pretty good, and if you're playing a pure Chaos run and end up with Freelancer, you kind of lucked out, actually. The only thing about it is Freelancer is sort of kind of brutal to be stuck with, again, in early game.
And it's not as bad as Thief, but...
It's not as bad as Thief, but the fact that you don't have any abilities at all until you get a non-freelancer job is kind of rough.
You're also not technically working on one of your jobs.
Yeah, exactly. You're not working on one of your jobs, you're not learning any abilities, you're not getting any abilities, which will basically mean a little bit more grinding in late game. However, if you're doing, say, a pure Chaos run and pull Freelancer as, like, job 3, that's fucking golden. Like, that's an incredible pull. Especially because one of the things you can do with Freelancer, and this is something, again, that takes just kind of learning the game and learning all the little sort of bits and pieces and tips and tricks to the game. You can do some crazy-ass equipment juggling stuff with a Freelancer just because they can use every piece of equipment in the game. So, like, for instance, take the aforementioned Ashura Katana, which guarantees that you go first. So you just have your Freelancer hold the Ashura Katana, and then switch over to, say, I don't know, the Power Staff, which has the ability to make enemies go berserk.
Whack! Stop hitting me! Whack! Stop hitting me! Whack! Stop hitting me!
And, like, you can just do this with a Freelancer. Like, you can completely neuter a ton of, like, spellcaster-type enemies in this game just by doing stuff like that.
With the exception of the ones where they thought about this in advance.
Yes, the one immense enemy where you would really think Berserk would be a great idea is possibly the worst enemy in the entire game to cast Berserk on.
But yeah, do you know how heavy those carpets are?
Yeah, you do not Berserk the Rug Wizard. We probably, again, won't get there in this stream. Actually, almost certainly won't, because that's World 3. Do not cast Berserk on Omniscient. It will not end well for you. They thought about this. Omniscient hits like a truck. Although, again, Knight trivializes this.
Yeah, it's all physical.
Yeah.
So that is another one where you send two people in. If you have a character that can use staves or has the ability to cast Berserk, you send them in you send a party of 2 up the Magic Tower, them and the Knight. Or if you can get, like, equipped staff on the Knight, for instance, you throw him the Power Staff, get him to Berserk,
Rug Wizard.
Berserk Omniscient, and then you just have him guard. The main reason you do 2 people is so that because if the knight is guarding, then he can't attack.
Anything, so yeah.
So you send 2 people. You send somebody who can cause Omniscient to go berserk, and you send the knight. You make sure whoever can cause him to go berserk is at critical HP, and then you just have the knight guard constantly, and Omniscient will be completely neutered, and you just take him down with whatever you feel like. Strictly speaking, this berserk causing can be somebody who can cast berserk, somebody who has the ability to use staves, which can then let you use the power staff, or somebody who can use rods, which will let you use the wonder rod, as long as you have it set up to cast berserk. It's time for Carl, a boss. So some things that didn't actually get fixed in the redone translations were like very small, kind of vague translation things. This boss being one of them.
Carl boss.
So this is Carla boss. It's supposed to be Charybdis.
Nope, it's clearly Carl
Wow.
boss.
Carl, a boss. A boss.
Or Carla boss.
That is true. Carl, a boss.
No, it's Carl. He's a boss.
Carl, a boss.
So how did this end up as Carla Boss when they did their own translation? I guess they just took the words and directly translated and didn't realize they were trying to say Charybdis.
Yes. So every one of my knights now has cover. We'll put that on in a minute once story stops.
I'm just imagining 4 people in full plate mail flipping back and forth in front of each
I'm
other.
just not sure how you get Carl a boss anyways.
I saw an explanation once from a translation, like a website that analyzes game translations and kind of talks about them.
Uh-huh.
It does make sense based on what the actual Japanese is. It's just kind of... It's still kind of dumb, but like you can see where they went wrong. Yeah, so you make sure to put cover on all your people here. If you farm a little, you can get cover before you do Carl. And it makes that fight technically easier, although, again, if you have knights or monks, you honestly have to try to lose to Carl. Like, no joke. And an important thing to do, because Carl does do some kind of pingy damage there. And also kind of an important note for this whole section really as a whole. You can come down here on Ferris's ship and rest. Just to restore whatever HP and MP you used on Carl, no matter what class you're doing.
So old man gets the bed and everyone else sleeps in the chairs.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so, ship's graveyard. Here is where we're going to do some stuff.
Stuff.
Possibly also things.
So this is, first of all, where we find our next weapon for everybody. Yes, yes. I don't want to get wet, blah, blah, blah. You'll find out I'm a woman. Okay, so these skeletons have a chance to drop daggers. Because they use both strength and agility for their damage calculations, the daggers are actually a better weapon at this point than the broadswords we're using.
Okay.
The game will not realize this. If you go to optimize, it will still try and put broadswords on your characters, as long as they can use them.
You did not gain dagger.
No, don't worry. We'll fight plenty more skeletons as we go make our way through here.
Okay.
There are a lot of skeletons.
Additionally, basically everything in this area is undead, so if your first job pull happened to be White Mage, even though White Mages do absolute garbage for physical
everything.
damage, you can use Cure on them and it will do pretty much one-shot most of these enemies, actually. Including that thing in the back, which looks like a golem, but is in fact an undead husk. So those are undead as well.
There we go.
So there's one dagger. So we're actually going to equip that to Ferris first, just because she is lagging a little bit behind, just due to being a level or so behind. So if you look, the actual attack stat on the dagger technically says it's lower. However, because it uses agility for damage calculations, it will actually be somewhat higher. We did have another dagger already. I forgot somebody started with one. So we're actually going to do that. And have both of them using daggers.
Going down to Carthus' House of Skeletons. Does your dungeon not have skeletons? Well, now you can solve that. We've got big skeletons, small skeletons, pirate skeletons, wizard skeletons.
Buy 2 skeletons today, we'll throw 1 free undead husk.
We will literally throw 1 skeleton at you if you buy 2.
So yeah, there's another strat moment for you, the bestie. Again, it's very early game strats. Unfortunately, we're only going to be going for about 2 hours, so I'm not going to be able to talk much beyond early game stuff. That's kind of part of why I pointed you to Enkybot there, and also the subreddit, just because you'll find a lot more info there too. Right, this is the way forward. So I'm going to go the other way. But yeah, that's another good early game tip, is to grab the daggers here and throw them on everybody. Also, I just don't feel like dealing with back attacks right now. I'm going to try and run. Whee. So the big issue with back attacks is they do put everybody who's in the front row in the back row, and you do half damage from the back row unless you have certain special weapons.
Ranged weapons and such.
There are very specific weapons that do it that aren't actually ranged. There are bows as well that are fine, but yeah. So daggers on everybody increases your damage. This will make a pretty significant difference for the upcoming boss fight, because frankly, she's kind of brutal for early game. She is a pretty major stumbling point for a lot of people.
That man is very surprised.
Oh man, that's a mind flusher.
Yes.
It flushes one's mind.
So surprised
Screaming his face off.
Just doing that cartoon thing where your face pops out. What creepy stuff happens in nowhere.
Alright. Oh, right. Forgot.
Ha
Oh.
I very rarely actually do that, so I forget that that's even a thing.
Do.
Plot time.
There's a fish in my shorts.
We should take off your shirt. It's wet. So that does actually count as a rest. Important note there.
Very
So
nice.
that does actually restore our HP and MP and all that. And then through here we have our save point, which I'm actually going to utilize. Because even with sort of knowing this game pretty well and having Knight, which is a pretty good start of game class, and sort of everything else. Alright, I gotta go down first and get that chest to open the next thing. And all that. Siren can be a pretty tough fight, depending on how long she chooses to stay in her different modes. The unfortunate fact of the matter is that, so Siren, the upcoming boss, has the 2 modes. She's got her normal mode and then her undead mode. She takes almost no physical damage when she's in her undead mode. So if you have something like Knight or Monk as your starting class, generally your only option for hurting her while she's in undead mode is to huck potions at her for 50 a pop. And this early in the game, you very rarely have enough potions to make that a viable strategy.
So how do you get her out of undead mode?
It just, she eventually does it.
Nah.
Does she physical attack while she's in undead mode? Or do you
Yes, she's physical attack. So with Knight, again, it's not a big deal. You just guard
You
and
just wait till she's
kind of
physical
tank it. She does also poison, technically, while in that mode, which is a little bit annoying, but generally doesn't do enough damage to make it actually a threat.
Gee, these antidotes. I wonder if that's foreshadow.
Also, technically speaking, though, those Calcruthals there, if you have Thief, you can steal, I think, high potions off of them, actually. Which can make a big difference. Not only for healing purposes, but also for dealing with Siren's undead ass.
In this treasure chest, you find the rest of the ship.
Oh, that's where we put the sprites. Sir, it's a banner day at Carthel's House of Skeletons.
Before I go on, check real quick. I don't think I got any more daggers, but I haven't really been paying attention. No, I did not get any more daggers. So I've got 2 broadswords, 2 daggers. We should still be, honestly, pretty alright for dealing with Siren. I do actually find this point pretty funny in that Siren kind of summons up the memories of lost loved ones, and like this girl shows up and is like, "Grandpa, come over here," and Gale's like, "I've got amnesia, bitch. Who the fuck are you?" Also, Siren. Only boss in the entire game that's 2 sprites tall. She is taller than X-Death. The only boss in the entire game larger than Siren is Neo X-Death when he is in his giant, or technically true X-Death, which is his giant-ass tree form. Because you don't actually get a sprite for Neo X-Death.
Surprise, it's actually Mrs. Johnson. She's been smuggling doubloons out of the ship graveyard. That's just a cardboard cutout.
There is
There's a flashlight behind her.
There is absolutely no explanation for why Siren happens to be 2 sprites tall. She just is. Just accept it.
Also the progenitor of the JoJo's pose.
She also does Libra on one of your dudes as like one of her first actions. This doesn't do anything.
Protect.
So yeah, she will cast Protect on herself. I mean, even in her non-undead form, physical damage is not a great option, but unfortunately it's the only option we have. So now she's become one of the undead. Which, to put this in comparison, I'll show it just to kind of show it. But, you know, we were doing like mid-20s to 30s. Now we're doing half that much. It's pretty much not really worth it.
Ow.
So some turns will pass where we're just guarding, and eventually she'll switch back to her non-undead form. We'll probably get 2 or 3 cycles of her going undead during this fight. That's typically how it goes with night starts.
And now you can punch her.
I don't know, this T-Rise doesn't seem that bad. It just kind of changes the skin pigment you have for a while. Makes you tougher.
Of an important note, though, is while she was sitting there as an undead, it gave time for Protect to wear off, so...
Yep.
She cures herself.
For roughly what we do in 1 hit, so it's not a big deal. Like,
This is not like the Xehanort fight at the end of Birth by Sleep. She's undead at this point.
as you may have also noted from the single swing she actually managed to land on anybody who was not guarding, she also hurts real bad, but that's at least partially because I'm technically about 2 levels lower than where I should be at this point. You're supposed to grind a little bit more in here.
Neo Xehanort.
You're kind of supposed to get lost a little bit in the ship's graveyard.
Well, look, there may have been a great sale at Carthel's House of Skeletons, but you can't buy all the skeletons there. It's just impossible. Eventually, you just gotta run out. You just gotta go fight Siren.
One of the reasons I wasn't too concerned about spending time getting a bunch of daggers is because, first of all, that's enough to deal with Siren, and quite literally the next town we go to has swords that are just better than the daggers.
Also, you're still poisoned.
Yeah, choose not to care.
Oh, Hunter Green.
My eyes.
Deal with it.
Yep. Oh, you have my sympathies, Hunter Green. We've tread down that road before.
Indeed, we have. That's why we're currently doing Dreamdrop Distance.
Yep.
Important to note, knights also have really good defense just naturally, especially
Yes.
if you got shields on them and stuff. Hence why Galef just took that hit and didn't even take damage, even though he was not guarding. We did also get a better armor out of that fight with Siren.
Ow, 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 ow.
Make it to town soon enough, you big baby.
I'm just gonna keep my eyes closed.
Oh, it's fine.
I'll take my glasses off so everything's blurry. There we go. That's better?
Oh, also I take that back. Galef was totally guarding. I forgot that I have this stuff set to
Command memory.
command memory, so everyone was still on guard. That's okay, though.
Yeah, that sounds about right. You just figure out the main slides that work, and then if you're doing both sides of chain memories, both Sora and Riku's, make sure to get a handle on how Riku's deck works for his final fight, because all you need to do is do the dual mechanic the entire time.
There, I slept at the inn. You can stop complaining about the blur effect now. In general, I just didn't want to waste a tent there when I knew I was heading straight to Carwin.
What's the world flickering from 8-bit to 16-bit is fine.
Yeah. In general, I find Sora's easier because you can at least build your deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Riku's side is just, here's what you get, make it work.
Alright. So, here, these longswords are just outright better than the daggers. Even with the agility calculations. And also...
Got these broadswords. That's right, cash for swords.
Optimized, because it's slightly easier than actually manually equipping one sword.
So, if you see me kind of jump past stuff in menus, it's because the D-pad on an Xbox One controller is not stellar.
No. It's better than the Xbox 360, but it's still not good.
I primarily play myself on a PlayStation controller, which actually has a really good D-pad. And yeah, there's also all the bronze gear here. Technically, there's the copper cuirass as well. We're not worried about that because it is worse than the bronze armor, which everyone can equip. But basically, there's light, heavy, and medium armor in this game, and there are some classes that can only do medium armor. But yeah, in general, the most important one is actually shields for knights, because they do have a higher block chance with shields. It's one of their inherents. Actually, why am I doing that now? We'll grab what we can first.
Also, Hunter Green, in regards to Sora's side, try and figure out a way or grind to get Moogle points to buy packs, whatever, so you can end up with a deck that's, even if it's not really designed to do any good slides, has nothing but like 7, 8, 9 cards in it for the fight against Meluxia
Yeah.
when he decides to shit all over your deck.
Okay, so now we've gotten all of that, so now we just need to
I
sell
find
it
dealing
off.
with him is easier to just put together big 3-card strings, regardless whether they're specific slides or not, because he's going to make you lose cards in your deck and reshuffle where they are and all sorts of other nonsense.
So it's more important to have cards that are just plain good than actually...
Yeah, he has an attack that basically knocks all the cards out of your deck.
Ah.
And so you have to pick up the cards, put them back in your deck. They don't go back in the order they were in, so it's just a random hodgepodge of all the cards in your deck being shoved back in your deck.
Yeah.
So when you don't care about doing specific slides and just have nothing but like 9s, 8s, and 7s, so you can throw big things to counter anything he throws.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about doing this. Normally this is the kind of stuff, like if I was doing this as like YouTube or something, I would cut all this garbage out, because who cares about inventory maintenance and equipment upgrades. But this is decently important for upcoming stuff, so I do want to do this. For reference, that fight I was talking about where the like a bunch of recommendations are like, if you have Thief, grind to level 16 is literally in the next... it's not Siren, it's literally the next boss that we do. It is in the next dungeon we're about to go to.
No, back to the whole they can still high potions, so that would actually make the Siren fight quick.
Yeah, Siren is not actually too terrible as a thief. One, because you just got those daggers, which you can also, by the way, I believe, steal those off the skeletons instead of just having to random drop them. So if you have a thief, you've got a much higher chance of having those daggers. Over to the other side, that's right. Next important secret. Down here. Get that frost rod.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to make use of it for quite a while because I don't have anybody who can equip rods, but that frost rod is important. That's a free frost rod. That's like 675 gold or something like that. Or no, sorry, 750. 750. It is specifically 750, hence Team 750. I am also going to stock up on a couple more potions. So normally if you're playing this game and don't kind of know it inside out, you talk around town and people are like, oh, there's a dragon that, collapsed over here and blah, 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 heard her. And then you're like, oh, a dragon, that could be, King Tycoon's Hiryu. And you go over to you basically get guided to the Dragon Mountain off in the distance. Carwin also has a piano. Make sure to play that if you are getting or maybe getting a bard.
No.
I think they're...
No, they just do the scales up and down.
Oh, that's right.
But again, if you already know the plot of this game, there are actually a lot of things you can skip. It's kind of a nice thing, actually, especially for this era of JRPGs. A lot of times they wouldn't set flags until you did that. You're talking about over on the sidebar, Hunter?
Yes.
Yeah, that is Ferris as a bard. That is the getting hit animation for Ferris as a bard. Since I think you joined in a little bit late. So this is just, I'm doing a practice run, so I did my full pull. So that is Knight, Summoner, Thief, Bard is my team for this one.
Yeah.
I actually really like the Bard design on Ferris. It's probably one of my favorite outfits of hers. Okay, so now we're on the North Mountain. This is where they say, like, oh, the dragon collapsed up there.
Yes, enterprising cats.
Behold, Gaelic cats.
Yep. So these are actually an important enemy.
Indeed. Because being up on the Gaelic is a fine tradition.
Actually, quite specifically, these are an important enemy because if you do not have the ability to cast Float yourself in a Fiesta run, these are one of the few ways to actually get it.
Did they drop the float ring?
No. If you confuse them, they'll cast Float on you.
Oh.
Do you need this for a particular reason?
One of the later bosses casts Quake a lot. I mean, of course, you also have to have a way to confuse them in order to make that happen.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I do.
We all float here, and when we're done with you, you'll float too! Nyan!
So strictly speaking, I do pick up a lot of chests. I probably don't need to, but I don't have 100% memorized what all the chests in the game are.
Well, Chest Fillers Union number 127 is working hard to make sure you have a dungeon with chests full to the brim with loot in them. You want their hard work to go to waste?
Also, since it's a speedrun, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not speedrunning, so I don't care. I mean, there totally are Fiesta speedruns.
Yep.
I don't know if there are many people that have done Fiesta speedruns. I know particularly of one specific person who last year during Fiesta did Fiesta speedruns every weekend throughout the entirety of Fiesta season. Got some pretty impressive times, actually.
Wouldn't your times very heavily depend on what
Yep.
Yes.
jobs you get?
Uh-huh.
It is a very RNG heavy speed.
It's a very RNG dependent speedrun, but it is not terrible, actually. His longest run was the first one he did, which I think ended up being like 16 hours. Which is still, honestly, a pretty respectable time for a JRPG. And in this particular instance, it was somewhat hindered by him not really thinking things through a lot with how to sort of speedrun the game. For his runs the following weekends, he actually sat down and watched some regular FF5 speedruns to kind of see some of the tricks they use and what could be applied to a Fiesta run. And eventually got down, I think his best run through the whole of that season was like maybe just over 8 hours.
At least you're not doing it on Proud. Proud Motor bust, apparently.
We've done the whole rest of the series on there. We're gonna do it.
Oh, we're dumb.
Yep.
Masochistic.
Okay. So here's where the Xbox One controller D-pad comes to fuck me in the ass.
Could turn off the auto dash.
Auto dash is not the problem.
Yeah.
Literally all auto dash does is actually just make the walking animation go faster. It doesn't actually change input detection. I don't feel like dealing with back attacks.
This mountain's got a lot of slugs on it. Alright.
Okay.
There we go.
Alright. So, use a tent here. And I'm going to save.
We're all sharing 1/10 the size of the entire one person in the party.
Well, the entire
Inside-
party fits in the space of one person in the party, so...
Furthermore, they're doing it inside a cave.
So
Inside
despite
a
my
house.
careful machinations to avoid getting anybody poisoned, god damn it, Lena!
Wow!
Pick this helmet up! Oh, arrow in the neck!
So this is the fight where the recommendation, if you are stuck with Thief as your first job, is just grind to level 16. For reference, even with my early game grinding to level 5, we are currently like level 9, and I think Ferris is 8.
Look, there's a very easy way to...
Oh yes, they do know that Ferris is a girl now. That happens during the ship's graveyard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens very early on.
Yeah, YouTube exists so you can see the secret endings.
Yes, they find out that Ferris is in fact a girl and not a man, and then they're like, the conclusion they come to is no matter what, Ferris is just Ferris.
Yeah. We find it out, it's interesting, move along. We have better things to do, like being the better Captain Planet heroes.
Isn't this the fight where you technically can just kill...
If you can manage, so at about
That's
320 HP or so, Magissa calls out for Forza. If you can skip past that point, Forza will not show up. So, for instance, if I had somebody who was capable of using rods, I could have just cracked that frost rod, and it would have killed her right out.
Or they'd pump your stomach after doing that.
If you are Monk and have the focus ability, which skips your turn in order to do double damage the next turn, you can outright just punch straight through Magissa. There's a number of classes that basically have the option available to skip Forza existing entirely.
As you can see, death makes you lose your job.
Well, it's been hit by an entire race of
Look, you
games
only have
with
one death
cars.
sprite.
Yeah, they just basically didn't want to make a death sprite for
Yep.
each individual outfit.
It's kind of like how stands work in JoJo. You only get your stand if you're conscious. Otherwise, when you get knocked out, your stand goes away.
Again, this is actually a fight that's not terribly hard to do with knights.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they just chew through his HP.
Yeah.
And they all have guard.
Yep.
Wait, power.
Cool, we stole a Monster Energy drink and a
Wait.
bullwhip.
You technically don't get that power drink if you don't get Forza.
Oh.
Not that this matters.
So what you're saying is you beat up people at a rodeo. Or...
Okay, so we now have the flying dragon hear you.
That's terrible, Hunter Green.
So technically speaking, with our friendly flying dragon hear you, we're supposed to come down here to waltz.
Through that.
Fuck that noise, we got another place to go. Vesti, if you're still around, here's the next early game tip.
I have a dragon, don't tell me what to do!
Always head on back here to Tycoon. So back over here to where the game started, past the meteor. And up here is Castle Tycoon.
you enter this castle, then you start playing Railroad Tycoon.
Look, a Chancellor who's not evil!
Bullshit.
Give it to
No, he's actually legitimately not evil.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Not only is he not evil, he's also not incompetent.
Yeah. Barts.
The main reason you come here is to get a bunch of free stuff, really. It's not actually that big a deal in this playthrough, because the best stuff from this entire thing are not things that I'm going to be able to use, but there are a handful of decently useful items here.
Come here first to loot the place.
Pretty much.
Look, 2 of our people are royalty. We're fine.
You found an entire cottage inside of that barrel.
Yep. No, it's one of those Fisher-Price cottages. It will protect you from the elements, but it's also very, very cramped. Oh, trust me, your Final Fantasy bingo board can still get a blackout. This one.
Just because this Chancellor is evil.
So, that's how we get out to the patio. Nothing out there.
We have a patio!
Unlike the greatest RPG ever made, Super Mario RPG, you cannot in fact go into the princess's bedroom and steal her underwear.
Correct. You can't find her unmentionables hidden.
They're on a chair. Peach is filthy.
Peach may very well just be a regular Toad who's wearing a super crown.
She wasn't expecting people to come barging into her room.
So yeah, a whole bunch of items and stuff here to grab. And then this, by the way, is the Hear You landing pad.
I make it live in this cage.
Sorry, Wind Drake. I spent a lot of time playing the Super Nintendo version, so I still use a lot of the Super Nintendo names for things from the fan translation.
I still refer to him as Butts because it's funny to me. The emotional range of a child.
I mean, if we're being strictly truthful, his name is Batsu.
Yes.
But this is where you really want to go. Again, most of this stuff is not actually of much use to us. There's one of the 3 chests that are actually useful to us on this playthrough.
Sure. Sure.
No, I take that back. None of these are actually useful to us. But they will sell for money.
This has been in our family for generations. Hawk it.
And
Yay, money.
there's also a healing staff. It's either hidden in there or you have to talk to the Chancellor again. I don't remember off the top of my head. Again, it's not anything we are actually capable of using, so... Let's see. Okay, he just gives it to you when you talk to him, that's right. So, none of that is stuff we can use, but there's, like, the Ashura Katana. So it's not the Ashura Katana. The Ashura Katana is the one you get earlier. It's whatever the legendary katana is. Probably Masamune or Muramasa.
Yeah,
something like that.
Something stereotypical.
It's the one that you don't get until, like, the end of the game that makes you be sure to go first. But yeah, none of that is anything that we're actually going to be able to use with our particular party. So all of that is basically just extra money when we head over here to Waltz.
Unfortunately, the ability to use a sword does not mean you know how to use a katana.
Yep.
For reasons.
You use them differently.
You technically use different swords differently too, so a rapier does not
So we're
used
going
the
to come here to
same
the
way
weapon
as a
shop
long
and
sword.
sell all that crap. So we're going to sell that whip because we'll never be able to use that. Important note, the helmet that Lena picks up on the mountain, you do actually get a free mithril helm out of that.
Oh.
Diamond bell. Despite being made of diamond, is barely worth anything.
So the Ashura was worth 2,900, but the Diamond Bell was only worth 290.
Well, you see,
It's actually a bell in the shape of a diamond. It's not actually made out of diamond.
No,
Complete misnomer.
I'm not made out of diamond, but there's so much diamond here, and the diamonds aren't being controlled by an evil corporation who controls all the diamonds. So they're
Accurate.
not expensive.
So if you happen to have Berserker, here's a place to pick up battle axes.
And diamonds are only so expensive because the cost is massively inflated because De Beer's owns them.
If you happen to have Berserker, I'm sorry. So this also has the Iron Gear, and also has the Kenpo Gi, which is actually quite a good mid-armor. So if you're like thieves, you want to get that. Okay, no, it wasn't Magisa and Forza that I recommend 16. I think it's Garula, the next boss, because Garula is awful as thieves. I can sell one of those iron helms. Because I already have the mithril helmet. Yeah, so I will say this much. One of the interesting things that ends up kind of happening from doing a Fiesta run, you end up needing money a lot less than you would in a normal playthrough of the game.
Yeah, because you don't have to buy...
Just because you're not buying and hanging on to equipment for classes that you're frankly not going to have.
Yeah.
Like, even if, like... So, like, picking up stuff like spells is one thing, but, like, buying equipment for classes you may end up with later, even if you don't know what classes you're going to get, is pointless, because usually by the time you get them, you have access to better equipment. How much of a cheese dick do I want to be?
And in our case, since we know what our classes are, we can basically toss everything that is related to the classes we're going to get.
Yeah, so like if I didn't know that I wasn't going to get a class that could use the healing staff, you absolutely want to hang on to that healing staff. That honestly is damn near one of the best items in the game. When you actually use it from the item menu, it basically casts Cure 2 on whoever you target it with. And if you have it just equipped on somebody, when you hit them with it, it casts really powerful healing magic.
It's great for ruining undead.
It's great for ruining undead and
Or
keeping
just
your
attack
party
your own-
alive.
Yeah, just attack your own people.
Okay.
Whack! My cancer!
Oh, cancer gets that.
It's a beautiful day for cancer. Oh, I know what you're doing.
So we're cheese dicking this because we're playing the GBA version. Can't do this on Super Nintendo.
Hey kids, looked like the internet figured out exactly how many steps you can take before the random number generator kicks off a fight. You're not supposed to be able to do this. Quick saving means you can do this. I'm not joking. We literally know exactly how many steps.
I don't.
down.
I don't remember the exact number offhand. I just take a few steps, then quick save and come back in.
Because these fights will wreck you, I assume.
Oh yeah,
These are meant for much higher level because the thing at the end is really good.
it's not even necessarily meant for much higher level. It's just supposed to be a really difficult fight.
Alright, so we're going to 999 this and go into an alternate reality every time we load the game.
So again, this is not something that's at all possible in the Super Nintendo version. This is literally because of the way quick save works. It does a thing with the GBA battery in such a way that it basically wipes the RNG and like basically resets all random values, including the random value which determines whether or not your next step is going to spawn a fight. This actually basically operates the same way that like a Game Genie code or Action Replay code would stop you from having random encounters by virtue of just setting that variable to 0 steps taken. So basically when you do quick save, the game essentially forgets how many steps you have taken. And effectively resets that value to 0.
Why do we keep our treasury in unlocked pots?
You see what's guarding it?
They don't even have lids.
What's that?
All of our treasury is in unmarked pots in the bottom of the basement. We just threw a bunch of monsters down there and locked the door. What if we need that money?
So yeah, Bestie, again, if you're still around, this is a tactic that's only viable if you're playing on the GBA version, and technically speaking is somewhat frowned upon, but again, there's no real rule against it.
Down with that sort of thing.
What nonsense are we doing now? Skipping random battles by quick saving?
Specifically in this one area. This is the only area that I ever do this in, because in most other places, the random battles aren't actually a challenge. The enemies down here, there is one specific enemy. It is the only enemy down here. I believe in the GBA version they are called Jackanapes. Not to be confused with the other enemy that shows up later that has the exact same sprite and is also called Jackanapes, but has a completely separate stat block.
This is a cheat, apparently.
These dudes down here hit for like 400
Oh, nice.
on a single attack.
Yep.
And it's not technically a physical attack, so guard doesn't work. And they will always get some, like a back attack on you, and
Bad day.
like if you're a thief, you can kind of do this legitimately just by fleeing. But we don't have thief, so we're doing this the GBA way, which
What?
involves quick save.
But we have an infinite number of parallel realities we are jumping hither and yon through.
And the reason you do this will be visible in just a moment here. So this is the Elven Mantle. The Elven Mantle is an accessory that, if I'm being totally honest, generally stays on one of my party members through the entirety of the rest of the game. You may notice there, on our stats, there's a stat called evasion. It says 20%. This doesn't technically change our evasion stat. It just has like a flat, I believe, 25% chance to evade any incoming attack.
Yeah. Also, it doubles up with shields, so both the chance to block something with the shield and the chance to evade the Elven Mantle are separate.
Yeah. This is literally an accessory that will carry you through endgame. Like, it is... There are, I believe, 2 of them in the game that are obtainable. Possibly more, and maybe stealable from some enemy or other. I don't recall off the top of my head. But it is literally, like... It is one of the best accessories in the entire game, because it is just a flat evade percentage. Which also has, I believe, a unique evade animation. I don't believe that animation shows up for anything but Elven Mantle evasion.
No, I don't think it does.
Because the Elven Mantle evasion literally shows the character, like, flowing out a cape, and it evades the attack.
Yeah. Also, there are at least 12 universes where this basement is filled to the brim with dead people. The Princess of Tycoon is in at least 10 different timelines dead in this basement. Nobody can get at the treasures down here. Nobody. Ever. We put them down there so nobody would ever be able to have them, including us, the people who own this castle.
The strategy seems dumb.
That's a thing.
Huh.
But
I was looking at the Jackanapes.
Yeah.
And so there are 2 different stat blocks.
Yep.
But the stat block in the area you're in now is fucking stupid.
Yes, the stat block in this one. This is actually the harder of the 2 Jackanapes.
It is.
The other Jackanapes, by the way, I don't believe show up to World 3.
The other Jackanapes show up in Castle X.
Yes.
Yeah, which is...
World 3.
Okay, no, that is actually World 2 Castle
World
X Death, I believe.
But there's also things like the Jackanapes that show up here absorb all magic.
Uh-huh. No, it's not a matter of like, oh, you're supposed to come back here later to get it. It is literally a matter of, this is supposed to be a fucking challenge run to go get this thing.
Additionally, Jackanapes drop 0 XP
Uh-huh.
and 1 gil.
Yep.
Yeah.
There is absolutely 0 benefit to actually fighting those Jackanapes, and you will fucking die.
Right, crystal water. We decided to go overboard on that water thing.
So I can only assume they're like, okay, we have this elven cloak. We're going to put it down here and then release some fucking Jackanapes.
No,
So everyone thinks about never touching it.
look, sometimes you have a cape that is so nice. Ah, you schmuck.
So that choice actually has impact on a later game?
Because of Nutball, we better leave him in here.
So we're going to leave that pickpocket in there.
He is just tap dancing
That
relentlessly
actually
in anger.
makes a difference later.
Yes.
A significant one, or just like a minor, like,
There is one chest you don't get if you let him out.
because he pickpockets it.
Yes, you open the chest and there's literally a note in there saying, haha, I have stolen this treasure. Famed pickpocket lone wolf.
Ah, werewolves! Filthy miscreant thieving lupines.
Now. The implication is not that he's a werewolf. I think he's just a dude that dresses in, like, wolf-esh clothing. There is an entire town of, like, anthropomorphic wolf people.
Okay.
It's in the other world.
Also,
Oh, yeah.
Vince, 5 does not go overboard with the theming. They do go with the theming, yes. You want overboard, go back to Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, which literally smacks you in the face until your teeth fall out.
Also,
with the
technically
elemental
isn't a Final
themes.
Fantasy game.
Ah, whatever. They put the name on it, they knew what they were doing.
Everything Square makes is a Final Fantasy game. Matter of fact, everything Square Enix makes is a Final Fantasy game. Dragon Quest is a Final Fantasy game.
Heard it here first. Hitman
Kingdom
2.
Hearts is a Final Fantasy game.
Hitman 2.
Final Fantasy game.
I mean, it has Final Fantasy characters in it. Though.
Well, actually, technically, Hitman 2 is not Square Enix. Hitman 1
2
was.
is not great.
Deus Ex. Final Fantasy game.
Yep.
I think they actually make a joke about Final Fantasy in the first Deus Ex from Square Enix. I seem to recall, like, literally in the computer guy's office, there's like a poster for Final Fantasy, like, 19 or something.
Yeah, like
Something like that sounds about right.
I think it's 21 is the joke.
Something like that. It's some high number. Oh no, something's going wrong at Walt's Tower. Well, that's ominous.
Another meteorite.
The stones on these guys. Yep. Giant stones.
Tower
from
of
Tower of
Waltz.
Waltz.
Okay. Yeah. Was consulting a thing there.
Waltz. Not to be confused with anything, really, actually.
So even though I've done a lot of Fiesta runs and know this game pretty
The
well,
second floor with water.
I still typically check my check stuff on Enkybot just to make sure I'm remembering things right and I'm not like thinking of a different section or a different area.
Water crystal. We need to remind you, this is the water crystal. Thus, there needs to be water. In places. Lots of places. For reasons.
Also, the bathroom's just overflowing. We're very sorry. We're getting it fixed. We've had bigger things to worry about.
You're not sorry. You literally plug the sink and then turn the faucets on.
So these vines can be climbed, by the way.
Yep.
Oh, man.
That's a thing.
It was clearly done on purpose.
You found me out. I'm Agent 47.
Oh, damn it. And if your D-pad doesn't read your input of you pushing right before pushing up, you'll climb back up at that vine.
Paz de Sul.
It's a very tasty bread.
That'd be Pan de Sul.
Paz.
Pause this tool. Very explosive.
Okay, so these enemies here are important.
The Richard Mage?
The Rickard mages, yes.
Ice soldier.
Oh boy, the ice soldiers.
So why are they important?
They can drop fire rods.
Ah.
Delicious fire rods.
I forget, can you use rods on this playthrough?
Summoner.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Correct movement like glow sticks.
Yes, Summoner can use rods. Summoner cannot use staves, but they can use rods.
Yeah.
So the healing staff wasn't going to do me any good. But
Yeah.
Summoner is absolutely part of Team 750.
Team 750.
So one of the types of Fiesta run is called a Team 750 run, which is entirely comprised of classes that can use rods, because rods in Karnak cost 750 gold. Karnak, the only place in the entirety of World 1 that you can actually get... I don't know, I want to do the center first, I believe. Oh no, side first. Yeah, Karnak, the only place in the entirety of World 1 where you can actually buy rods. Oh, right. Can't actually equip that on knights.
Equip what?
The bracelet I just got. So one thing that...
Silver on what?
I don't know if this actually exists in Super Nintendo version. I know in the GBA version, if you go into the item menu and actually double select, select it as if you were going to use the item on any piece of equipment, it'll actually show you what classes can equip it, at least out of the jobs you currently have. So literally every other job we would have access to normally right now, other than Knight, can equip that, but Knights cannot.
All right, Ether.
Not that Knights particularly need the defense boost from it, if we're being real here. Okay, so this is Garula. Strictly speaking, Garula entirely exists on physical attacks. Guess how hard this fight is for Knights.
Oh no, Trumbo.
Trumbo.
He changed his name. We know him as Trumbo. Some sort of woolly mammoth Rhodesian Ridgeback hybrid.
It's Gorilla. He's friend to children.
You actually catch him in the previous town, like playing with kids.
Yes, in the town of Walls, or not Walls, the other town we were at before, Kerwin. In the town of Kerwin, if you look just kind of a little bit outside the town borders, like right past the forest, you can actually walk over there by a secret path, but nobody cares. There is actually a girl playing with a gorilla who talks about, like, gorilla is always friendly to children. He's a peaceful creature. Which is also why it's a big surprise that he's assaulting the water tower. Nobody gets it. Like, they're like, what the hell? Why is Gorilla attacking?
It's like Barney holding up a liquor store.
Yeah, that was a weird episode of Cops.
So, yeah, sometimes you have to...
Also, as you can see, with the full set of iron gear, the normal attacks from Gorilla are not particularly annoying. Like, they don't really do much.
What's stopping the guys in full plate from doing this? Or just because we're light warriors, we get special armor compared to...
The only real danger from Gorilla is that rush attack, which does a slow leak of health.
Yeah, she's bleeding to death.
She's leaking.
Even if it does 0 damage, which it did to her on that
It
last
still does the-
round, it still does the leak effect. Oh no, the crystal has broken.
Go.
So now we have to walk around and collect all these crystals.
Berserker.
The class
Hi,
for
hi.
you that's like a truck.
Time Wizard.
Mystic Knight.
Summoner.
Eh. Don't care anyway.
What is that one?
Mimic.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, mime crime.
Just can't reach it.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's storyline-wise, you cannot reach it. You have to...
You can't get that until like World 3.
Oh. You get the power to traverse stairs?
No, that
That's
sinks
not
into
actually
the ocean.
Yeah, the whole tower sinks into the ocean.
Yep, they sunk the island of Texas.
So you think you can just reach up there and grab that crystal? Looks
Nope.
like you only have to flight stairs.
Nope.
No.
Sildra, you're alive! Sildra, you're eating me!
Oh.
They cannot do vertical movement.
Arr, me child companion.
Okay. So,
By the laws of the land, one must now become a summoner.
So at this point, since you have 2 classes, as long as you have a knight,
you have to have at least one
One
character
character.
in each of your classes.
so you can have a knight and 3 summoners right now if you
I
want
could.
to.
Yep. It would be really dumb, seeing as I have 0 summons currently and 1 rod.
You still have guard.
Yes, because she did level up enough in Knight to actually have access to guard.
Yeah.
Summon an Uber and get out of here. And bring back a knight. Alright, Lena, here's your summoning robes and your unicorn horn.
Where did we get a unicorn horn?
To be fair, everyone gets a unicorn horn when they become a summoner.
Oh, I know. It's standard issue. I just have to wonder where they keep getting unicorn horns.
From the unicorns.
Well,
We're not good
they
people.
hunted a Kieran.
We are not good people.
Same way every hunter gets a unicorn horn.
So they hunt a Kieran. Then they hunt it again because it didn't actually drop. Then they hunt it like 4 or 5 times, and then it finally drops.
Yeah.
Then they do one more hunt, and they get like 8 of them.
Usually you get horns. It just requires like 8 horns. But what?
Okay, so...
So you just bought the maximum amount of
No,
potions.
the maximum is 99. I'm up to 50. I could actually probably afford...
It's a lot of potions.
Yeah, actually, I'm just going to do that.
Oh, when you have no
Actually-
actual healing class.
Before I do that, not yet.
Look, we're going to call on the powers of the universe to fix that.
There's technically a summon that does regen. Also, even with Summoner, it is important to remember that you should check some of the magic shops, because there are magic shops that do sell summons. There's like, I think, 2 summons in the game that can just be bought from magic shops.
Hey kid, you wanna buy some Ifrit?
3.
I got-
There they are.
I got some Chocobo. I got
Sylph.
some Sylph.
Ah, you got the Sylph.
And Remora. So now I have some summons.
The starter summons.
They do things. They're not great.
No. As I said, the starter summons.
I already have a Chocobo. That one's not magic. I'll say you, this one's frickin' magic.
What Bahamut do you want? Do you want Neo Bahamut, Bahamut 0, Bahamut 2.5 Final Remix?
I'm doing a competent Fiesta run, so I'm not getting any Bahamut.
Yep.
Well, Bahamut 358 over 2 days.
Because Bahamut is actually not the best summon in the game, technically.
Does that technically mean there's some kind of shenanigans involved with it?
Sort of, yes.
Bahamut is usually not the best summon
No, Bahamut's just Bahamut.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's
Well, in this
large non-elemental damage.
Up to this point, in most of the Final Fantasy games, Bahamut, if they had summons, Bahamut was generally the best one. In this particular instance, Bahamut is actually not, solely because having an air lancet equipped on your summoner and then using Sildra actually does more raw damage than Bahamut, and nothing has an elemental resistance to Sildra's element.
What is Soldier's element?
I want to say Sildra is water? Right, before we do this, I'm actually going to go back and save, because I forgot to do that.
Elf Toads.
And I may very well die here.
From the Elftoads?
No,
No, from the
from
thing.
Shiva.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a normal Shiva. It's not a Mega Shiva.
Mecha Shiva.
It's Shiva and like 3 ice soldiers, which are honestly actually kind of rough.
But does Shiva turn into a motorcycle?
That's okay, you can summon a Chocobo.
Or Sylph.
But a Chocobo. It'll work at them.
Chocobo may actually be my best option for what I currently have available. So, by the way, for reference, that is one of the reasons why you very much want the fire rods off those Ricard mages in Waltz Tower.
Oh, so
They
we
actually
fight
have
Shiva.
limiters on that?
If you crack one fire rod, you pretty much wipe out everything with Shiva, and potentially Shiva as well, depending upon your magic stat.
Oh.
Unfortunately, that's not an option at the moment. We also keep-
Also, heal
Never
them.
let them forget.
Yeah, whatever. It healed it for 40.
Yeah.
It's not worth it for me to literally hit the button to go frickin' put it on defend rather than attacking.
Victory!
God, frickin' D-pad.
Boots.
Okay. By the way, I think there's like exactly like one NPC that vaguely mentions something about this whole thing somewhere in, I think, Waltz Town, not even in Waltz Castle.
About what? Shiva?
About Shiva being in the waterfall behind the castle. And it doesn't even like outright tell you it. It's just vaguely like, oh, I heard that there's this ancient spirit of ice hidden somewhere around the castle of Walls.
Look, you always check behind the waterfalls. It's where everyone hides their secret shit.
But yes, we're going to Go attempt to make our summoner actually useful in the next section.
Well, that or under the welcome mat.
That's the way in, not the way out.
Or carefully guarded by a skeleton from Carthel's House of Skeletons. Just in, skeletal dragons. All the bony aesthetic you've come to love from skeletons, now in huge undead wraith form. As seen on Game of Thrones.
Weren't skeletons also undead? And wraith, I guess?
Oh, look.
That's skeletal profiling.
Carthel's House of Skeletons also has a fun rental program where you can have someone who's dressed up like a skeleton. Sometimes you can't afford an actual skeleton, and we at Carthel's House of Skeletons understand that.
Okay, but if we wanted a skeleton man,
Now, what part do you want to be the skeleton?
the skeleton part.
Oh, it's gonna cost you. Buy our album. Alright.
Healer after full for a giant pile of potions.
Again, part of the benefit of a Fiesta run is you don't use much money, so you can do stuff like that. I don't remember what any of these do.
Self, I think, is wind damage. Remora is something.
And Chocobo, someone's a Chocobo.
Yep.
Probably Quez at them. Fat Chocobo.
On occasion, you also summon a
That's
fat
actually the
chocobo.
rare.
Yeah, that's not what's supposed to happen.
No.
That much I do remember.
Well, that simplified this.
Yeah.
Oh no, bird butt. Our only weakness.
Prepared for Fat Chocobo.
The hindquarters of an obese bird. Oh.
No.
He's very upset about that Fat Chocobo that was summoned.
I think she is just going to cast magic at you.
Yes,
Yes.
generally.
Look, she only does one thing, and that's ice. She does it very well.
Not potion. Phoenix down. Thank you. Good lord.
Now to finish her off as quickly as possible.
We're working on it.
Okay.
Because this is what normally happens.
Yes.
Which actually isn't bad at this point, but it's not great, but it's not bad.
Bye, Lena.
Yeah. Better than the rest of the
I
party.
think she may just alternate rows.
I think she
Yeah.
alternates
Seems that
rows.
way.
And yeah, you're going to lose that entire row if that was like 80, so your
Yeah.
normal potion one. Yeah. I have no idea what she has for hit points.
That seems hard.
Fuck that one guy in particular. Wait. Fuck that one person in particular. I'm sorry. I'm a summon. I'm not rude.
And he's up.
Yep.
Old man killed by hail.
And
Nope.
no.
Yeah, there's a reason I went outside and saved first.
Yup.
Yeah.
That fight is not easy.
No.
D-pad.
Fashionable and comfy. But are they as easy to wear as shorts?
She has 1,500 hit points.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Fat Chocobo knocked off.
Like
a
a
third.
The third, yeah.
Yeah.
She's also weak to fire if you happen to have fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. If I had a fire rod from Wall's Tower, I totally would.
But that sank into the ocean.
Yep. Like, technically speaking, I can come back here after the library when I get Ifrit. It's just that having Shiva makes Ifrit much easier.
So what you're saying is it's a chicken egg.
Pretty much.
Dun, 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 dun. Give your soldiers pants.
As long as you've got her stats up, did you see what level she happens to be listed as?
11.
Okay. So I'm about the right level for it, technically.
The fight is probably... Well, the fight is definitely more doable if you have, like, a white mage, but...
Oh yeah, the fight is absolutely way more doable if you're not doing Fiesta.
Yeah.
Level estimations for Fiesta stuff vary wildly to the point where, like, there's tons of stuff where you can do it, like, much earlier in Fiesta with certain parties, and stuff that you can't do until much later. I mean, that fight is much more doable if you have a black mage.
Yeah.
So Remora summons a fish. That paralyzes the enemy for a moment.
Might actually be useful.
And self-seal summon you have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it's wind damage?
I would assume it's wind damage.
I am Shiva, the ice goddess. You know the drill by now.
Not wind damage. Drain HP from enemies and distribute it to the party.
Oh!
Oh.
That's
Well,
exceedingly-
that's much more useful.
I mean, it's okay.
Compared to...
There was the Elemental,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yep. That cape twirl is actually pretty cool. Even on a 16-bit sprite. Speaking of
I
cool...
mean, it doesn't stop Lena
She's
from
frozen.
dying from a single goddamn Blazara, but...
Oh, no.
She is immune to paralyze, so it's not worth casting Remora on her at all.
I wasn't planning on it. Most bosses are. Well,
Yep. That seems,
screw it.
Yeah,
we'll come
really.
back.
Brutal is the word you're looking for?
Yeah.
I'll just deal with the freak normally.
I hear that it does mention that she's a very tough fight when you can, like, initially go.
Yeah, you're not actually
Yeah.
supposed. You are actually supposed to do Ifrit first.
He turns into a car. If I say the words, go play Final Fantasy 13 in seriousness, I'm fairly certain either person to my left or right will punch me in the throat. No court would convict them.
Look, I like walking down hallways as much as the next guy.
You like 13 too so much you bought it.
Okay.
Hey, at least I don't own Lightning Returns.
Between you and me, we own the series.
Not until you get drunk again.
I've actually told Steam to hide it from me.
Spirits haunt me no longer. I think what makes me sad about 13 is that it genuinely did have some good ideas gameplay mechanic-wise. Just buried under...
Money dogs!
Money dogs! Yes, these dogs are worth an obscene amount of money. If you actually need to farm for money in this game, they're the dogs you kill.
I mean, very specifically, what you literally do is you hang out outside Karnak and kill a bunch of them and then buy a whole ton of rods.
Karnakian wolves have goat dust in their bones. It's that whole gold on their bread thing from the Russians, but literally.
Mm.
Yes, I will make up for not getting Shiva by just buying a whole crap pile of frost rods.
You can buy the fire rods.
Yes.
Okay.
Breaking the rods, breaking the rods.
The thing about it is that what I actually wanted Shiva for was this upcoming section, which I will not have the opportunity to leave between.
Ah.
Yeah.
Grass tortoise.
I will make this rather bold statement. I know how convoluted and stupid the plot of Kingdom Hearts gets. The plot of the Kingdom Hearts series as a whole is way more tightly focused and grounded than Final Fantasy XIII's trilogy
I
is.
doubt that seriously.
No, he's probably not actually wrong.
I make that claim knowing how insane Kingdom Hearts gets.
From what I know of even 13, just the first game, no, actually I could see that.
Alright. So now the real question.
We have the Crystal of Fire, therefore we just lit everything on fire.
It's not so much that they lit
Yeah.
everything about it. Literally, fire just naturally occurs around here. They can't help it.
Yeah.
All that naturally occurring fire that just kind of sits there. Mithril, thoughts.
Is that going to do me better? Or is that in the long run?
Oh, you're doing the mental calculations on the mithril sword versus mithril knife?
No, the frost rod.
Versus Mithril Sword.
Yeah, we'll take the frost rod.
Yes. You only get to buy one thing from town before you are arrested. But you get the thing that you bought, so you have to be very...
At a ridiculous discounted price, too, by the way.
Yes.
Ah.
So he got a thing that's normally 750 gold for 187.
Ah.
And mostly, I was just sort of taking into account the upcoming section.
Yes.
And I grabbed the extra frost rod because I didn't get Shiva, and that will make a huge difference.
Yeah.
So you're making another summoner.
Nope.
No. He's going to crack
Oh,
one of
that's
the
right. You
rods.
crack the
Yeah.
rods and that's
Like
right.
glow sticks.
Yes.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
The system is down. The system is down.
Come on. Yeah, so that's just a time thing, by the way. Blah, blah, blah. It broke through the wall, but ended up just in a different,
Hi, I'm Sid. I make
So-
weapons, and I'm sad about that.
I told the queen that the fire crystal probably shouldn't be hooked up to my machine that amplifies its power because it's fucking murdering it. Oh god, you were right!
Oh, look, another Chancellor.
He's identical to the first one. He is also not evil. He's more kind of loot and plunder misguided, but...
I mean, the Chancellor wasn't the one that decided to keep the fire rod going, or the fire crystal going. That was the queen.
That's true. So ours is free-range fire. We let it roam. And if it loves us, it'll come back and kill us.
I don't see a benefit here.
Oh, you will. Once we harvest that fire and we ship it to you in a box and gets on your family's table and burns them alive.
There's a werewolf, by the way.
Yep.
Oh, that's right. No, I technically can actually go back to town before this section.
Yep.
Pardon me a moment.
I'm gonna buy some rods. I'm gonna buy some rods.
Well, I'm gonna get...
I equip up and
Yeah.
the appropriate stuff for...
I'm actually going to get everybody else's equipment first before I start doing rod stuff. Just because it will make a huge difference.
Rod, the anime card. Yes, Mage Wraith. Or you can do the absolutely smart thing that totally won't murder a person. Chain two rods together into rod chucks.
Sounds safe.
Or a cat o' nine rods, if you're feeling really ambitious. It's almost as good an idea as the flail of 9 flails. It's a flail with 9 chains on it, and each chain is attached to a flail with 3 chains on it.
We're gonna do this for a little while. Damn it. Let's accidentally walk out of town.
We're going to walk out of town, get into a fight, then press up in a menu for 5 minutes.
Yes. The Knack Wolves.
Damn it. Stop stepping out of the forest. So the wild knacks only appear in the forest here next to Karnak. They are each encounter with a wild knack is 625 gold, and honestly is not that hard to fight.
Nope.
No matter what classes you have at this point, they're not actually super tough.
Ah, wild knack. Named after their knack for the stock market.
Buy, sell, wolves, howl!
So, like, being out every second, I'm already back up to almost 3 grand. So you do this to basically equip up and also to, still don't feel like dealing with back attacks. You do this to equip up and also buy a pile of rods. I recommend at least 10 of each kind of rod, and probably more of the frost rod, considering what we're about to go into.
A wild knack was recently arrested for insider trading, as in being inside one of the traders. Bored through him. Ate out his chest cavity.
There's a whole new meaning to Wolf of Wall Street.
Damn straight. Gordon Garu. It's a howler's market right now.
I am probably not going to go up to 10 just because I am streaming this and it would take a while to do that.
Yeah. Even with the magic power of
Turbo.
Turbo.
To put this in perspective, last year when I was actually doing my Fiesta run on stream, I actually did a recording off stream of me doing this. It was literally about 2 hours. I did post it up at one point, just kind of let it run, but it wasn't done as a live stream, so...
Got copyright struck for using a non-stop repeating rendition of Hungry Like the Wolf.
Alright, so we'll get one more sword.
Karnak's on fire. Wolf's tower has drowned. We're killing wolves in the outskirts of town. Do. Yes, made it work.
So that mithril glove is kind of a trap. I already have better stuff for the most part. I did accidentally buy one extra mithril armor, which should... I just have one character that does not presently have an accessory. So I'm going to... Actually, it is better than the leather shoes, so I'll get one more of those, but... you will also notice, in reference that, I'll figure that out in a second. When I do optimize, it does actually remove the Elven Mantle in favor of the, mithril glove I just bought.
Yes.
That's because the game is dumb and optimize is just a straight numbers comparison. It doesn't actually take effects of things into account.
Yep. Always make sure your optimizer hasn't removed something better by mistake.
Okay, so you already have a mithril sword. You already have a mithril sword. Okay, so I did buy an extra mithril sword somehow.
Yep.
Now, question: would it be better to put the Elven Mantle on Lena because she doesn't have a shield naturally?
Normally yes, but she's the only one in my party that can actually equip the silver armlet. So,
Okay. All right.
I may as well have her have the silver armlet, basically.
And whatever armor she can actually wear.
But she's already got the silk robe, which is the best armor I can actually afford right now.
Yeah.
You know what? No, you're actually right. I'm going to put the mantle on Lena just because she is not in good shape in general. She will get taken out very quickly by physical attacks.
Made by elves. That's why it smells like hemp.
Okay. So, with selling some stuff, I might have enough for 2 more rods. Ditch that armlet. We're going to ditch those shoes.
Sell that frost rod. She gives me enough to buy 2 frost rods.
So, in specifically the iOS port of this game, there's a trick with that first Karnak purchase, wherein if you go to the item store, you can actually buy 99 of an item for the discounted price, and then when you get out of Karnak jail, go back and sell it back to make a huge crap ton of money. That is only in the iOS release of this game.
So what you're saying is, before we did this section, we should have switched to the iOS release of this game.
No.
There's a lot of problems with the iOS version of this game, not the least of which the graphics.
Also, it's
Also, that would require one of us to own an iOS device.
Not really, you can emulate that.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I am certainly totally playing this on a legitimate GBA.
You should see the rig we have here. I think part of it's actually buried in Bograt.
There is so much bog rat for it to be buried in. Alright, I should probably go stay at the inn. Somebody's down to like 36 health.
Yeah.
So it is available on Steam. The Steam version is effectively a port of the like mobile version with its god-awful, fucking smoothed-out bullshit, terrible graphics. And also they fixed that glitch, so...
Yes.
Which glitch?
The buying 99 items in Karnak thing.
No.
They actually stop you from doing that in the Steam version.
Yeah, Securities and Exchange Commission comes by. They're not happy. They are also wolves. We got some questions for you. And some biting. You're not going to like either of them.
What up to $2,000?
There are a lot of wolves on this one forest path.
Actually, it's just the same 6 wolves.
They get back out.
They can easily afford Phoenix Downs.
Oh no, it's us.
Yeah.
We're the
They send
fraudsters.
5 out to attack with 1 hiding in the forest. You beat up the 5, take their money. Then one runs out. Phoenix Downs all the dogs. They get back up and go about their way.
Man, I wish they had Phoenix Downs. Those are 1,000 each.
Yep.
No, the one that's hiding in the forest is the Phoenix Downs.
Exactly.
Not the ones they send out to fight.
What are we up to? 58? Okay, just a couple more packs of wolves, and then I'm going to grab just a handful more rods and move on to the fire ship.
Yes.
So fire ship will probably be where we end the evening. I'll finish going through the fire ship, but I'm not going to do the Karnak 500. That's good enough. Well, actually, if I do one more group of wolves, I can do 10 rods total out of there. So
Honestly trying to think of what would have triggered that.
What now?
Apparently Chrono Trigger is age-gated on Steam.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time on that one.
Seven rods. More than enough to kill anything that moves in this world.
wait, were there any? I don't think there are any more purchasable summons around here, but
No.
check just
I
to
don't-
make sure.
I think it was just the starter summons and nothing else.
Yeah, I think all the other summons come from
Yeah.
various things.
I think that other one was just because that's where you get the summoner, or the town where you get the
Yeah,
summoner. So
basically. All right, so we're gonna stay at the inn and head to the fire ship.
Yeah, so you don't have a summoner with no summons whatsoever.
yeah, our summons aren't great right now, but at least we have something.
Yeah.
Shit's going crazy down below. Fuck them up. Okay, so fire ship.
The ship's a lot bigger than it looks on the outside.
That's every ship in every Final Fantasy game.
prospective mages.
Well, yeah. How else do you think you get 4 people to fit into the space of one sprite?
So there's really not much to say about the fire ship, honestly. It's actually a pretty straightforward dungeon.
If enemies composed entirely of the dust of the crew.
Ah, good. Gained two-handed,
Yep.
which is actually important for the upcoming fight. The boss, at least.
Basically foregoes you having a shield, but makes your attacks more powerful.
It makes your attacks more powerful. There are a number of bosses through the course of the game that essentially have counter mechanics where they do something every time they get hit.
Mm-hmm.
And for pretty much any of those types of enemies, you want to have any physical attack characters using two-handed.
Okay.
Just because it means you're doing less hits while still dealing significant amounts of damage, basically.
Those motor traps are the Clippy of the ship. We see you're trying to traverse a dungeon. Would you like some help? Wham! No!
So crew dusts are somewhat annoying. If the only thing left on the field is a single crew dust and they get their turn, they'll do an attack that stands a pretty decent chance of blinding your entire team.
Nah.
Oh, a poltergeist.
Okay, I probably should stop attacking with Lena just because everybody else is blinded, so I'm not actually doing
Hi, my name is
all
Poltergeist.
that much damage to him.
Dun, 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 dun. Is there any particular fun loot in here that we care about? Or
I mean, there's some decent stuff, but
for this particular run, not really.
I don't think so. I'm gonna check my thank you just to remember. Nah, nothing in particular of importance there.
Right. Straight to the end, then.
Yep. Can you help me? I am blind.
Eventually, somebody will actually make contact with this thing.
I'm gonna bob you! Knock it off!
Right. Forgot that's just a straight up dead end. God damn it.
Climbing around air ducts. Throws up immediately.
Okay. For this, if I choose the wrong one, it's not because I'm looking for loot. I just legitimately never remember which one is the correct one to do for this. Alright, let's try you.
Nope.
So, center left or center right?
Pretty much. There we go.
There we go. Ooh.
Over here. That is actually somewhat important because we've got a thief coming up. That is one of the few weapons that is actually capable of attacking from the back row at full damage.
Yay!
But it is only usable by, like, I think Thief and Ninja? I want to say.
So 10, so you're no longer blind? Or cottage. I forget which.
Oh.
10 first line, okay.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if tents could do status ailments.
Yeah, I didn't remember off the top of my head either.
That sounds vary from game to game, so yeah. They're probably just hard to hit anyways.
Yes. Galef, knock that off.
I was already out of it! I know! Bam! Knock that off! As a normal party would have magic at this point. We don't.
I mean, I could summon, but
We don't have magic we don't want to... that we want to waste on poltergeists. They're doing like 10 damage a pop.
pretty much.
Sure is nice of those guys with the trumpets to follow us around everywhere.
So also another important reason to run during this game is for the chicken knife.
Yes. Chicken knife, which has the potential to be extremely powerful if you're a coward.
It's technically like the second strongest weapon in the game.
The chicken knife gains power the more times you have run from a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I'm the queen of Karnak.
I did forget to put two-handed on all my knights, but that's okay.
That's okay. Aren't we just planning on breaking rods anyway?
I mean, he's still going to counter.
That's
It takes, I think, at least 2, if not more, to take him out. And at least one of his forms counters is a full party attack.
Liquid flame.
By the way, that's what happens if you keep your fire in cages. Get your liquid flames just all up in people.
Flame, that's what you should do. Tornado.
Yeah, so this has 3 forms. It's got person form, hand form, and tornado form. All it actually does in tornado form is cast Fira on itself
To heal.
to heal itself. One strategy for this fight is actually to just kind of let it run out its MP over here.
Alternatively, we just do that.
Alternatively, 2 frost rods.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, flame bow.
Alright, so with that being done, we're going to come up to a save point in a second here at the start of the Karnak 500. That's where I'm going to save and probably call it for the day. We'll have all the fire crystal shattering nonsense. Oh, look, a Karnak soldier came in and did it. Oh, look, he disappeared. Oh, look, the werewolf's going to get crushed by a ventilation shaft. So we don't actually get our third job until after we do this whole thing, running through Karnak Castle as it attempts to tear itself apart.
Time for detonation. 10 minutes.
Yep, so you actually have a actual 10-minute real-time timer on this section. And as that ticks down... no, we're not going to continue this next Tuesday. We're going to continue our rotation, so somebody else is going to be playing next Tuesday. I'll probably keep playing this and maybe probably just record it and put it up on the Sound Goblin YouTube. Maybe keep giving strategy and advice, talking about what's going on. But yeah, thank you all for joining us again. We do this every Tuesday. Vesti, I hope I gave you some good tips that you were looking for there. This is kind of the early game, about halfway through World 1. There's a bit more to go, but again, I'll probably do more of this and put it up on our Sound Goblin YouTube channel. Which is just YouTube. You search for Sound Goblin Gaming. We're kind of in there somewhere. We're not big enough to actually rate high enough on search ratings to be easy to find.
But we exist.
But we do exist. But yeah, as always, I've been Bog Rider Josh.
I've been the Krampus, arrested for insider trading at Karnak.
I've been Vincent, clever enough not to be arrested for insider trading. That's why I use wolves.
And I've been Shiver Mackie.
So yeah, Shiv, Krampus, and myself will be back on Sunday for more Hating Our Lives with Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance.
Drop Distance.
And also a few of us are going to be starting on Mondays, at least for the month of January, and possibly beyond, who knows, doing Minecraft with our friend HP Braincase. For January, it's going to be Monday nights, about 6:30ish, I think was the schedule.
Thereabouts.
So that'll be over at twitch.tv/HP Braincase.
All of us will be there tomorrow.
Yep, Shiv is going to be doing Lasso Halo.
Also Halo runs.
with HP Braincase on Wednesdays for the month of January and possibly beyond, who knows.
Yep.
Then we'll be back on Sunday, and we'll be back next Tuesday as well with something else. We switch it up every week, so have a good one, everyone.
Yep, have a good one.
Bye.
Yep, bye-bye.